All right. Yeah, we should be live on YouTube now. Welcome, everyone. This is the release working group meeting. And yeah, today is the 9th February, and we're here to talk about all the release things going on. We have a quick agenda here. But before we get to that, do anyone has any announcements, anything they would like to bring up?
Yes, we have some security releases announced for next Tuesday, Valentine's Day. So you go to the Node website, there's a little banner that sort of gives a little heads up. More details will be announced. Will be posted on that page when the releases are done. But yeah, we're currently preparing those. If you're a collaborator, the CI has been locked down, restricted to people working on the release. So that's ongoing.
Oh, I have something also to share since it's not the agenda. I just made a pull request I sent in the chat. I was talking with Bat about it. Basically, including an option to the Git node release to prepare a proposal for security release as well. So as you can see in the pull request, there is a log. Currently, it is not totally automated. It will stop to let you to amend commits, but after that, I think that's good. I have made the proposal for 19.6.1 using that script, and it seems to work. I still think that we might want to update a few things like the Git commit, and the change log is not totally accurate. But I think it's ongoing work. I've been doing that. I will work on that in the next month. Firstly, to make Git node land on private heap works, and then amend to that script. And after that is to work in the other side, like how to generate the next security issue with all the steps automated. Hopefully, it will be a good thing for us. But yeah, we have something ready.
That looks great, yeah. And what is the workflow you were kind of thinking for the Git command? You kind of like cherry pick the commits first, or those come later?
Basically, if you look to the pull request, you'll see that there is a log. If you click there, basically, if you call node release -- security -- prepare, it will create the branch. Basically, it will ask you to go to the .x branch instead of staging. That's the regular workflow for security ones.
Right.
And then it will create the branch and wait you to cherry pick the commits manually in another terminal. That's kind of hacky, but I think that's way is more than like having a step and go direct to the step. This will make the request more complex. So I stop it there. So for instance, where all the patches are cherry picked, with no, it will say a warning, okay, go to another terminal and cherry pick all the comments. And then when you press yes, it will follow the regular workflow, like updating the node version, updating the replace me, change log, and then create the commit.
Right. No, it might be a personal preference. We might follow up in the PR here, but I would prefer like maybe break into two commands, right? Like a one like start that will do the check and open the proposal branch, and then have a finish or a change log, right? Like command that does the rest of the steps, right? So that you kind of could have all that logic in the same terminal, right?
Yeah, it would need to change the not just the pull request a lot, but this command a lot, because currently this is the workflow for regular release. It won't stop to let you do, because it does everything automatically. Basically, when we land the change on the Git node land private, we won't need to go to another terminal because it will cherry pick automatically. So there's a single workflow, no stops and just yes or no. But yeah, feel free to comment there. I can explain it better.
Yeah, that sounds good. Were you going to say anything else, Richard?
No, I was just going to say, I think there is, I think in the normal landing workflow, when it asks you whether you want to amend the commit message, there is some way of interrupting like the workflow where it waits for you to do something and then you basically run the same command with like -- continue, and it continues the steps from where it paused.
Right.
So that would be a way if you didn't want to do a sort of, you're halfway through, then you're on another terminal, you know, effectively some way of saying like a yes, no question. You say yes or no, whatever the correct answer is, and then it sort of stops. You continue what you do, and then at some point you do run the same thing with a continue, and it picks up where you left off. But I don't remember enough of how Node Core Utils works. I think there's like a session class or something that holds the state. But it is possible, I think, to do that, where you start something, you get a yes no question, you answer a particular way, then it basically stops until you then rerun the thing with continue. So I don't think it's possible. It may be something that maybe whatever we land as the first step, that could be like a future enhancement or something, or does it?
Great.
Let's discuss it in the PR.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, then let's get on with the regular agenda here. We do have a first item here. Oh yeah, which is a new item here that was brought up by one of the collaborators. Confusion around Semver minor commits. So yeah, I saw that, Richard, you both commented on it already. Do you want to kind of?
Yeah, there was some confusion in a couple of PRs around just how we approach Semver minors and our notable changes. And I think amongst releases and our tooling, we kind of agree that by default, all Semver minors get marked as notable changes unless it happens to be an exception where it's really not end user facing. We shouldn't call it out. So I think what we would need to do from our side as a releaser is just be clear that that's what we do. We default to marking all Semver minors as notable unless there's an ask from another collaborator or the author to indicate otherwise. I like that's our position today. Maybe we should document that and then revisit the conversation of whether we should change our position at a later time, or maybe on a different PR. That might be a good way to just start.
And I think there was a little bit, there was a comment as well about the actual label, the notable change label, and whether that was misleading or confusing, I guess. I guess, we kind of use it as a way of saying we want to sort of call these things out, which is not saying that anything without the label isn't notable, but it's kind of like whatever the default position for these types of PRs, like if it's a patch PR or a Semver minor, that things with that notable change label are things that we kind of want more words around in the changelog. So instead of like a one-line changelog entry, our default would be for say the Semver minors would be to just list the commit titles and commit hashes. But I think our idea of the notable change thing would be that we would actually want more words in the change logs for those. But I think there was some suggestion that things without the notable change weren't notable, which again, maybe this comes back to like explaining or clarity, or even if it we come up with a different set of words for that label. But yeah, and then I don't know if it was on the agenda, but Beth, you had a suggestion about automating notable changes.
Yeah, just the idea of like when someone adds the label, the bot pings and says, "Hey, you added a label. Do you want to supply some more info?" And then give them a field to add that info so we can just copy it. I listed the benefits in the PR. It means it's consistent between versions, and it might help us crowdsource it a bit more. But I guess we need to handle still the default where if someone doesn't supply anything in that box, it still should be in the notable changes, but just with the commit title as normal as it is today. Yeah, just an idea. We need to work on it and implement it. I'm sure it should be possible.
Right. Yeah. And I haven't I haven't done too much read into what was going on with this specific PR that was brought up there, but I'm just kind of like afraid that these labels might like just have a charge meaning for some of the people, like, and avoid having discussions about whether something is notable or not because of type of work anyone is doing, right? Like, so I would just like to say that I also, to kind of try and avoid some of these situations, I kind of like tend to think that making sure everybody's aware that the releasers have full autonomy, right? Like, kind of helps out at least, because we're right like under so much pressure. Sometimes we don't have a lot of time, and like maybe we just haven't noticed something was notable, and like, right, and kind of like don't want anyone to be holding that against us, right? Like any other releaser that is. So I don't know, like, if anybody brought that up into the discussions already, or if it was something mentioned. Or...
That might be an addition to our clarification as well. We might need to say all Semver minors are notable unless either the releaser or another contributor has stated that it should be demoted and it's not interesting enough to be, well, interesting is not the correct word. It's not something an end user needs highlighted at the top of the changelog.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, but I would love to see the collaborators kind of like owning a little bit more, right? Like, especially like making the write-ups and like being, caring about the notable changes.
Yeah, the explanation is, I mean, if I see a pull request with just someone included the add notable change or notable change label without explaining why that's notable, if that's not a Semver minor, I'm tempted to just remove it,
Right. Which, see, like, you, and I believe you as a releaser, like, have full autonomy to do that, right? Like, if you kind of like feel that way, right? Because it is kind of unclear.
So that might be a gradual step towards that, rather than shaking things up straight away, but maybe gradually we could say, require extra info if it's going to be in that section or something.
I think that's the appeal of the automation you were suggesting, that if there is a set thing that we're that we get people used to filling in, and then when people ask, well, why hasn't this shown up, and point them and say, well, there's a box here. You'd filled it in, you would have got it automatically or something. Yeah, if we get that tooling in place.
Cool. Yeah, let's see if we can get traction on that bot. Yeah, that idea sounds great. Yeah. Anything else on that one? Otherwise, I think you can move on to the next one and follow up on the conversation there and the issue. Hey. Hi, Juan. Notice you just joined. Let's then move on to the next item here. The last item before the release plans, let's talk about the NPM 9. I noticed there were some activity this week. Apparently there was some sort of breaking change that was disturbing people's workflow. So did anyone here follow up with this conversation that wanted to add anything about it?
I haven't followed it that much. I did see that there's been a patch release of NPM to revert a default value for one of the options. I don't know if that's all the issues that people were finding. I think I've seen two, and I can't remember if the other one was folded into this one. Yeah, it's
Which issue are we talking? Is the 778?
Yes, that one. And then if you go to the end, you see someone linked another one, 812, 825.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw this.
But yeah, I believe like we're all in agreement, but if not, feel free to speak up your mind. But I believe nobody here wants to land breaking changes in the LTS version, right? Like, but it is the nature of trying to, balance bringing the improvements, like not having a super old version of NPM, like we still have NPM 6 to deal with in Node 14, right? Like, I think it's the balance of all that, trying to balance all these things, right? Like, and we kind of made the decision. And yeah, and because the breaking changes seem really minor too, kind of we evaluated kind of on a case by case, right? But
so the interesting thing about this one was we were a bit cautious with NPM 9 in that we didn't drop it straight into 18, and yet this particular issue hadn't been flagged until the point we dropped this into the LTS release. So that was unfortunate. Somebody did open another issue in the release repo, which I don't think is on the agenda, which is trying to talk about more generic dropping NPM updates into the LTS branches. And yeah, I guess that needs to be looked at some point. It's a fundamental disconnect where we bundle this thing, in this case the package manager, and they don't actually have the same sort of LTS policies that we've got for Node releases. So there's a disconnect there, and like you said, there's some balancing act.
I think the way we were trying to mitigate that was getting the agreement with NPM and Node to say this is what we believe is breaking in the context of being bundled in Node. So I wonder if we'd need to take that a step further and have tests in Node core that represent all of those cases that, we say these are the things that we class as a breakage in NPM in the context of Node, and they need to be tested within our, maybe not within our repo, but at least run.
And I think that's the challenge, isn't it? It's getting those cases and having the test for them in a way that we can run, ideally like in an automated test suite, whether that's part of the regular flows or whether that's SitGym or some other testing tool. But I think the challenge is identifying those cases and having the test for them, because whatever we've been running currently and whatever NPM has been running on their side hasn't caught this, or hasn't flagged it at least as breaking for the situations that this particular whoever reported the issues against 18 ran into.
Yeah, I guess if we get to the point where we can agree on what those are, we can then start adding regression tests and hopefully getting better over time, kind of thing. But I don't know, it feels like that's the inevitable path, because the only alternative is to try and get agreement on major version support for 3 years. But I don't think it sounds like that's going to fit with our LTS policy. I think we need someone from NPM to join one of these calls to probably go through what they can suggest or commit to, or what their plan is in terms of lifetimes and things.
Yeah, that's
either that or some of us will need to turn up to one of the NPM calls.
There is also that, that possibility, but no, I can definitely stop by one of their calls one day, one of these weeks, and no, I can let them know. It would be nice to have, either Miles or someone from the NPM CLI team joining the next meeting and like talking about that. I kind of like see like it would be ideal to at least try to time better, right? Like I think this time it was kind of unfortunately like very disconnected from our LTS and from our schedule, right? Like in general.
Yeah, I think the issue this time, I think we shipped a new major version of Node, and then a few weeks later, or within that small window, the new version of NPM came out. So if there was a way for the NPM release to happen in enough time for it to be shipped in the October or April node release. I think that it'd be better if they were 1 month earlier than us. Than
yeah.
That still doesn't answer the issue about upgrading in the middle of an LTS.
No, and lifetimes.
Which is the one I think that people are more concerned about.
Yeah, but I guess in the case of like, because the install was definitely like part of the API that we agreed that NPM couldn't break, right? Like, and they're reverting it, right? Like, and we're gonna ship the fix, and like that's okay, right? Like from a Semver point of view, I guess. Like, so if anything breaks in NPM install, like that's kind of an API that we shouldn't be breaking in LTS. Okay, but yeah, let's continue that conversation then in both the issues and following up meetings. Then we can get to the release plans here. So give me just a second here. Let me maybe open the schedule here. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can I? Okay, let me know if you can see my screen and if it's the right one.
Can see the 19 release plan.
Yeah, okay, great. So,
yeah, there's one thing to mention here is that there is a release plan for Targus for the same date as the secret release. So it probably will be postponed 1 week, I guess.
Yeah, let me adjust this right now then. Let me know if it makes sense for you. Actually, this. So this becomes like, who's working on the 19?
Actually, I'm working on that. Sorry, mixed the Portuguese.
I actually couldn't process. So when do we bump the 14 to? Do we kind of like, we don't need?
I think it can goes to the 28, right?
We then like push everything kind of like. Sounds good to me.
I don't know.
I would probably go for 21. Like if we do extra current releases, that's fine.
Next week.
Yeah, like the following week, and then ping Michael, and then if there's not enough the following week, then we deal with
it. Yeah, so I will need. I mean, I won't be able to perform release between 21 and April 30 because I'll be traveling. So and my machine, the sign machine, is not the same one as I bring to the conference and so on.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could have kept like the same window and like just had a current release 2 weeks in a row. I don't think that's an issue doing a little extra one, particularly if otherwise stuff would have been sitting there for 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, April 7 it's good to me.
I believe it's March.
Yeah, March.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, March.
Okay, so I leave it like that. Do I?
Actually, 21 I can't. Sorry, 21. March 21 I can't.
Okay, this one you can't.
Yes.
Okay. But the rest is okay, right?
Yeah, the rest is good.
Okay. Let me also maybe add another one here, right? After March 21, it would be April 4.
April 6, I guess.
Oops. Okay. Let me update this and message targets here. Oh, anyways, yeah. Probably review this later. It's hard to type and share screen, present at the same time.
It never
But
works.
okay. But it looks good. We have someone planned. Well, if with all that said, like if anyone wants to volunteer for 21 and April 4, we have those both these dates
Well,
available. Confirmed for the 7, right, Rafael?
yeah, you can ask Targo. Oh, actually, yes, you can ask Targos if he wants to
I
change
could
with me,
do
you know.
the 21.
Oh, okay. At March 21, right?
Yeah,
No, 21.
that one.
Wait.
You are looking for February, right? Yes,
Sorry?
that one.
Right. Okay, then. Yeah, I don't think we need to spend too much more time on this. So, I mean, we can follow up offline here. But let's take a look at the other releases. We can probably update them too.
They might be okay. That looks.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, just need to add the security one, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And we should probably try to get someone to volunteer to the one at the end of February. Is this the 14th too? Like, are they
I'm doing 18. I'm doing 18 security release. I'm doing this.
Oh, great.
I'm doing that.
Awesome. So
I am thinking though we might actually want to squeeze in an NPM update as soon as possible if it's breaking people.
Oh, for 18?
Mm.
Right.
Is it breaking? When you mean breaking, is just the NPM CLI or something that is bumped inside Node.js? Is the NPM calls like NPM install or NPM something, right?
It's NPM CLI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it took down a bunch of people's pipelines, so significant. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do it as a hot fix or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe that's something I can volunteer to do.
The other option would be, do we make a rare case exception to bundle it in with the security release and just say, look, this is stopping people adopting it. We've made this decision. It's not normally what we do, but you know, if it's going to inhibit people getting the security features and it's such a known problem, then I don't know.
So what do we do? Do we live like this for now? Oh, Michael joined too. Hello.
Hello.
So yeah, we were just talking about you here in the release plan for 19. We had to bump your upcoming 19 release a week just to leave some room for the security release. Is that okay?
It should be okay. Just let me check. Yeah, that's fine.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, so for 18, I guess the other the options we have is it's either a hotfix following up the security release or shipping that NPM fix on the 28th. Or do we also have the option of trying to ship during this release right here? They're the ongoing security release.
I mean, I'd support an exception to get into that release so that people can actually pick up the security release with ease because it's taking down. It seems so significant that, you know, I'd support that.
But then it impacts all the release lines, right? Like everybody should.
That would be 19 and 18 because
okay.
We haven't updated to NPM 9 and 16.
Okay.
The only drawback of that is I don't know how big the window of upgrade is. So there might be more than just that fix that we're pulling in by updating NPM, and that would be a contributing to whether we should do that or not in a security release.
Maybe what we could do is just backport that fix because it seemed quite small in the pull request I saw.
Sure.
Backporting where into which release?
Into the 18. I don't know. Well, we can check what other changes are in the release if they seem safe or not. But I also think it's a good idea to update NPM with the security release because people had to downgrade 18 because of the problem. Or well, that's what they did. I think that it's probably better to downgrade NPM than to downgrade Node entirely.
Yeah, so who's handling 19? So Rafael, you're handling that 19. And Juan is handling 18. So you're both here. What do you think about this idea?
Michael told me yesterday that we should not release commits not related to Opal security release. And I totally agree with that.
It's a fair point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you want a secure version and non-breaking change inside there, you know? I just want to see a vulnerability fix, not my supply chain broken or something like that.
Honestly, I think that if we include the NPM reward in that patch, it will still be kind of breaking change for users that already adopted the new way of NPM 9, right? So I see that in another minor proposal instead.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, both releases are here. Both of them prefer not to. Let's skip that idea then. Let's only focus about do we ship a hotfix immediately after the security, or do we wait for the 28 for 18 for the 18 release line here?
If we see that it is really breaking other, because we have currently just one issue, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just, you know, people are being vocal about it. I guess it is a very annoying problem for folks that are affected.
I mean, the other thing about dropping it into 18 is our usual policy is to drop things into current first. The NPM update will not have been in the current release. until the next current. So I'm okay making an exception for that for 18 if it's has broken people, but yeah, that's something to consider as well. That we will not have had any sort of on the field testing of a node release with that version of NPM in it.
Yeah, okay, I'll leave it open for now. We can wait to see if we actually get anyone to volunteer for the 28 release, right? Like we don't have anyone right now. And I just realized I can't commit to anything this month. So I was throwing the idea, maybe I can help with hotfix, but no, I cannot. So that's not gonna be very helpful. So we kind of need someone for the end of the month already. So there is that.
I can do it. I can do it.
But you still need someone to sign, right?
No, I'm gonna send a PR today with new keys.
Okay.
Oh, great. Cool.
That key won't have gone out in any other release, so that's kind of well, let's discuss that offline outside this meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so for now, I'll sign up one here, and we can continue offline for on what to do for the NPM. But if it has to go on the 28th, I'm okay with that. Do anyone thinks otherwise or other ideas?
Miles did a great job on the previous 18th release, bucket porting things to 18. And I think land cleanly. At least for me as the releaser, I don't have any problem landing commits that just land and work. But the people, that's it.
Okay. So we also have 16, which appears to have a planned release here for the month of February. So we
may push that out to March if there's a security release.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, 16's in maintenance, so it's kind of like whenever we think we have enough things to. I think there is a couple of backport PRs to 16 open, so if people have time, we can do one. But given that we do have the security release, I'm doing the security release for 16 and 14, so
okay.
Yeah, may space in that a bit.
Let's do that. Yeah, if anyone is interested in signing up for that Windows release, we might have one on March then. Okay, great. So 14 is going to be the same thing, Richard.
Yes, I mean the main thing I had for 14 lined up was the NPM 6 update, but yeah, that is being taken care of. I don't know what else we've got on 14. Probably not much, I think. So again, that's probably in a similar situation to the 16 release, where might try and do one in March as a sort of last 14 release before it goes end of life in April.
Right.
So yeah, let's put a placeholder in for March. It may or may not happen, depending on what we've got lined up to go in there. Yeah, we'll see. I kind of half expect that we'll do maybe one last release before it goes in live, but we'll see. Probably things like updating the root certificates and stuff. But yeah, I see that. Yeah, decide nearer the time.
Okay. Sounds great. Okay. Cool. So that brings us to the end of the agenda. Or no, or maybe not. Maybe I'm actually looking up here on the issue. There's the release keys and right. Yeah, there's this release keys issue. Is there anything anyone wants to add about it?
I think we still have an action to check which keys are in the key ring in that repo. So that repo has keys in there, but it also has a key ring, and I can't remember if the key ring was updated the last time we added keys there. So that might be something to check, because I think some reports were that they were trying to use the key ring to validate the releases on, and if keys are not in the key ring, then people using the key ring to validate the keys won't be there. So yeah, it requires one of us to check it and maybe update it if it needs to be, or figure out some automation to keep it updated based on people PNR and PR and things in.
Okay. Yeah, no, and the last issue here is just a note about that NPM issue that needs to land. The NPM update needs to land on 14 release line. So
yeah, I've landed it on the staging branch, so it will go out in the next release.
Great, awesome. Okay, so is there anything else anyone wants to bring up?
Yes. I have a computer which is not going to be my definite computer, and I asked this already to bed, but this is the right place to discuss. Do you think it's okay to generate those keys and upload it to my personal one password thing, and maybe re-import those in the new machine that I'm gonna get sooner? Because honestly, I have a bunch of computers.
Yeah, I'm not sure I follow the question. So
if it is okay to generate those keys on this current computer, this is the node source computer, but they are gonna give me another one. So it's okay to upload those keys into my personal one password just to move between any computer. And
well, I mean, I would assume so, right? Like I kind of had that computer migration, and I did it similar to that. Yeah, I just upload my key to my personal one password safe, right? Like, and then I just had that set up on my new machine, and I kind of set up all the keys again on the new laptop. So that's definitely what I've done in the past.
What I would say is I think it's up to each releaser to keep their UPG key secured. If you do upload it to one password or whatever to move it to machines, that's probably okay, as long as you're aware of where your key has been. And if one password, for example, ever gets a security breach, then we're relying on you to take appropriate steps to keep that key secured. So if it's there temporary or permanently, if there's ever a suspicion it may get compromised, then we're relying on each releaser to a bit like you did when your laptop got stolen, to notify the rest of the team so that we can take steps to appropriate steps. So that's all I say is use your own judgment, but try and keep the keys as secure as possible. That doesn't preclude you from moving them between machines, but it is then your responsibility to keep those keys secure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great. Okay, then yeah. Anyone has anything else they'd like to talk about? If not, thank you everyone for attending, and see you next time.
Thanks.
Hey, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.